The Chicago Bears have just had an offseason, remember, and frankly, they just got the guy that everyone else wanted. And when we call a player a steal, it's usually one taken in like the mid rounds, right? Or even at the end of the draft. Case in point, Austin Booker, he was a huge get for us in the fifth round at defensive end. Just a great pick. But this pick in the first round, Rome Odunze, it's so much better than any of us think because of a couple reasons. And here's the first one. Sometimes a first round player can be the steal. And that's exactly what we did with Rome Odunze. GM Ryan Poles, he confirmed that Chicago turned down multiple trade offers. And I'm going to go to the story on heavy.com. You guys read this whole story. But GM Ryan Poles, he just confirmed that Chicago turned down multiple trade offers during the draft because other teams were specifically targeting Rome Odunze. They wanted our number 9 to do so. Other teams were not only interested in trading up for quarterbacks, they wanted Rome Odunze. And it's not clear what those offers would have been, but most likely we could have traded back a bit, drafted a high quality player at a position of need. I think that would have most likely been a defensive end or maybe even an offensive lineman. Got a second round to boot in exchange for Odunze at 9. And I think that's the low end that we would have received. Here's the thing, though, not doing so, that shows exactly where GM Ryan Poles was on this player. And let's hear it from him on the Pat McAfee show. Rome was at the top of our list. We have our draft board separated by different colors, and there's certain guys you don't pass up on, and Rome was one of them. This is when he said, this was just on May 1st. It's hard to find a guy that's big and that talented at the receiver spot, and on top of that, being just an unbelievable human being as well. There was no movement off of Rome at all. So that means the Bears had such a high grade on him, they consider him worth more than 2 players adding up to first and second round value. You know what that also means? We absolutely got our guy. The second reason, if you will, the second reason that this is a way to be fully the second reason this is so good, excuse me, this is a way to be fully dominant offensively on day one regarding wide receiver, but also this pick, I think it was an absolute necessity. Now you might disagree on this, but answer this question. If Keenan Allen was to get hurt, does this offense then look formidable? Does this offense blow your skirt up? Does this offense look actually good to you? Do you really want to field a team with DJ Moore following Scott, Jones, Dante Pettis running routes as second and third? I'm saying no, thank you. And Odunze, he makes us immediately dominant, but he also provides a way to stay dominant. Not to mention protecting the roster. Not to mention it protects the roster. If Keenan Allen, if he's not signable, if he's not doable, if it's not in the cards, we still have a great offense after this year. And his value just isn't who he is as a player. Look at what he has around him. Look at how that might drive his production this year and years forward. We got 6-time Pro Bowler Keenan Allen. Woo! Sorry, I just think that's funny. A little Ricky Bobby there. DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, not to mention running back stable that was just improved by signing DeAndre Swift. And this was the best rushing team in the league already before that. My point is this. Odunze joining a team that makes it unwise for defenses to double or shift coverage towards anyone. It's going to be interesting if secondaries, if they can defend these three guys, this 3-headed monster. And I think if you add Cole Kmet, it might be a 4-headed monster. And then you've got Everett, who's a very capable pass catching tight end. We've got so many weapons, and adding Odunze, he just makes our offense elite. And it was a perfect signing. Even at number 9, I think it was the absolute steal of the draft, even more than Booker. Here's another thing too. Odunze, he's going to be facing a constantly favorable matchup. He's going to be lining up against the team's number 3 defender in coverage and Chicago's number 3 receiver. He's now 6'3", 215 pounds, and he might be one of the best prospects in years. In case you've forgotten, he led college football with 1,640 yards last year. Defensive coordinators, get lots of sleep now because you're not going to get much during the season before you play us. Coming into this offense as the third option, That just makes this pickup so good and no pressure on him. No pressure to be the man, no pressure to carry this offense. He's going to be able to develop. And let's look at this too. The rookie receiving record for the team, it's only 61 receptions. 61 receptions. I had to double check. And surprisingly, that's held by Darnell Mooney. Could there be as many as 90 to 100 catches available to him? That would make him have to pull in about 70% or higher as a catch rate. That's courtesy of Windy City Gridiron, who I've said before, they are absolutely gold standard. But what does that look like? 90 to 100 catches. He'd have to catch 70% of them. Those are traditionally more. Those are traditionally Keenan Allen numbers. But in the case of Allen missing some time, it's actually fully attainable. And it's such a blessing here to have a player easily capable of that, to have that insurance against injury. And let's also remember, we're concentrating on Keenan Allen. DJ Moore, he missed considerable time last year. While at the same time, if everyone's healthy, we've got an offense that might be absolutely impossible to shut down. And we just need these moves on the offensive line to be right. I think it's enough. But every single piece we added, they were guys that could play almost every position on the line. We had injury concerns last year. We now have a center. We are 3 deep at almost every offensive line position. And we also drafted Amagaje. We also are bringing in a lot of really good. We brought in Benedette, who is a really interesting offensive line prospect. He's going to add a lot more competition. I did a story on him just on Saturday. Check that out. We just need these moves on the offensive line to be right. And I think we've made enough moves on the offensive line to be probably top 15 as an offensive line. And that absolutely might be enough. Our defense. Our defense has to continue what they showed last year as a top 5 unit. I think we're still a top 5 unit, and we might actually be better if we play our cards right. Our new quarterback, Caleb Williams, with this defense, with all these weapons, he shouldn't have to play hero ball. And I think the reason that his stats were down were the reasons that he played hero ball last year. USC had like the 116th ranked defense last year. Think about that. 116th. It's no wonder he had to play hero ball. Granted, games like Notre Dame showed some holes in his game. They showed the way that some teams can prepare for him. But with this many weapons, I think it's a totally different story. So he can settle into the pro game. He can just pick teams apart, bolstered by this balanced game plan. It's supported by one of the best running back rooms already before the addition of DeAndre Smith. And if Keenan Allen stays healthy, you can likely look to the previous Shane Waldron offense in Seattle. It's kind of similarly constructed. I'd argue that our receivers are a little better, but in Seattle, they had 2 pretty elite receivers in Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Then Jackson Smith and Jigma, he entered the picture. There's different style receivers, but as a number 3 last year in this offense, he had 63 catches. Perhaps that's the floor. I think that might be about where Odunze ends up if the receiver core is fully healthy. Chicago's top 2, I think they're arguably quite a bit better than Tyler Lockett and DJ Metcalf. And I think Odunze is better than Smith and Jigma. So it's going to be really interesting, but maybe 63 catches is about the floor. And the main area that I see Odunze contributing right away isn't receptions. It isn't yardage. It's touchdowns. He's a huge target. He has the ability to not only high point the ball, but contort his body when adjusting to the ball. And this is all while staying in control. He's just really nice and fluid. His stride is like a gazelle. He's just a really fun player to watch. Do yourself a favor, not a flavor. Do yourself a favor. Watch his touchdown highlights. This could also be his preparatory year, because this could very well be a 1-year rental regarding Keenan Allen, the lack of pressure to be a starter right away, to hold down the whole offense. Just a huge blessing toward his development. And offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, he's going to make sure something as well. This passing attack isn't going to be focused on just one pass catcher. That's something the Bears have done out of necessity. You could argue it's out of incompetence, but defenses, they're going to have to cover absolutely everyone. They can't double anyone. They can't shift coverage. They're going to have to account for absolutely everybody. These receivers are also going to have to be unselfish. They're going to have to not be worried about their stat sheet, because you're going to have games, stretches of games that one receiver breaks out, then he kicks back, another receiver breaks out. That's the only thing I'm really worried about with this offense, is egos getting out of control. But we haven't experienced this, but winning, that cures a lot of ills, right? So hopefully, being on a winning team, that the Bears have a lot of mouths to feed. I can't remember a time that I've ever said that before, but it's true. We have so many things to be happy about. I've never said something about a Chicago Bears team that we have too many mouths to feed. And man, this is just going to be fun. I appreciate you guys watching. I want to know, what do you think is the best aspect of picking up Rome Odunze beyond what I've talked about? Or just leave me your comments. Tell me what you think we're going to be able to expect of this offense. Tell me how you think the offensive line is going to be shored up. Do you think it's enough? Do we still need to make another move? But appreciate you guys. You have been such loyal viewers. Bear down. Let's enjoy this offseason, and camp cannot get here soon enough. See ya.